What's up everyone, Trent here along with Julia, aka Gem Cosplay AUS, and we have just binge watched the entirety of Matt Groening's latest animated hit. Well, I'm calling it a hit because I think it's going to be a hit. Disenchantment. So, it's a 10 episode series found on Netflix. What did we think of it?
You'll have to stay tuned to find out.
But as always, welcome to the Fortress.
Set in the magical world of Dreamland, where this story mainly takes place, we are introduced to Bean, who is a princess who doesn't really want to be one. She's more of an alcoholic and druggo. So, warning straight up, this is not for kids.
No, it's not designed to be for kids.
But we follow Bean and her wonderful adventures with her two good friends.
Two companions.
A
little elf from... Where is it from? Elfland? I can't remember. Elfington. Let's just call it Elfington, where it's full of sweets and lollies and candy and they're singing all the time.
Happiness.
And naturally, his name's Elfo. And all of his little elf friends have all these funny names like Returno and Sleepo and Shouto and Weirdo and Pervo. It's great.
Yep.
And Bean also has...
the fantastical Lucy. Also a little demon.
Yeah.
Who's in 2D, which is actually really funny in this whole thing.
But you know what that demon reminds me of?
Who?
It reminds me of Excalibur from Soul Eater.
Oh god, yes.
Yes, where he's got the nose pointed up and he's always walking in like a 2D. You can't picture him walking front on.
Front on, yes.
But yeah, so Lucy gets this demon just before her wedding day and it starts causing grief. But
Bean gets the demon called Lucy before her wedding day.
What did I say?
Lucy
gets Bean. They both get each other.
They both get each other.
And sure enough, Bean's like, yeah, this is going to be bad, but they kind of work off each other, and she already does terrible things.
Yeah, it's explained really well. It's so, you know how your voice is the voice that you have in your head that tells you to do stuff? Or not to do stuff? I'm the voice to tell you to that. I'm the voice that tells you to do otherwise.
Yeah.
It's actually a really good dynamic. And then, especially with Elfo as well, you kind of have that angel and that demon on her shoulder almost.
Yeah, so naturally everyone's going to be drawing comparisons between this, The Simpsons, and Futurama. The only thing that is similar are that you have a lot of the Futurama voice actors. You have John DiMaggio and Billy West all returning. You have Eric Andre, who plays Lucy, and you have Abby Jacobson and Nat Faxon, who play Bean and Elfo respectively. Mm-hmm. My favourite addition of the voice cast, however...
Of course.
His voice is instantly recognizable.
You got so happy.
Yes! Screw you, Clem Fandango. Oh, God. I can't even say it. Anyway, it's Matt Berry. Matt Berry's in this, and as soon as he comes into the screen, you hear the voice, and you're just like, oh my God, this just got awesome. He's cast as a main role, but he's only in kind of 3 or 4 episodes so far.
He's a recurring character in the sense of... he just pops up every now and again and you just hear the voice. Like, yes! I thought we were friends.
Yes! But yeah, Matt Berry really makes the first couple of episodes watchable because it was a very slow start for me.
I found it very much like when I first watched Rick and Morty. I really didn't like the pilot episode and I didn't really get into it after pushing past that episode and watching a couple more. The first episode is that interesting pilot one where it's trying to set up everything and get you in, but you're kind of like
yeah,
but then it flows almost you get halfway through the episode and it's going and you're like, oh, I really enjoy this.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed it at episode 3 onwards. Episode 1 and 2, they set up the main characters and set up the dynamic. The issue with episode 1 is that it's a 46-minute episode. So it's essentially 2 episodes in one, whereas the rest are all 26 minutes.
Yep.
So you're getting an extra episode, so it has that longer time.
Okay.
But yeah, as I said before, there are comparisons between Futurama and Simpsons. The difference is this is for adults.
Yes.
There's a lot of adult humour, a lot of subtle humour.
A lot of subtle humour, and then a lot of sexual, drug, and alcohol references as well, and not blatant ones either.
Yeah, and I've spoken to a lot of people. I've heard different things online, and people are saying that it's not that great, but they're giving it a chance. And I think a lot of people have gotten used to this whole Family Guy and Rick and Morty overt, out there, over the top humour. That when it's literally you have the main plot device that's going on, and there is a great overarching plot that has a really good payoff at the end, but there's you have the regular plot with the characters. It's not the main characters you need to focus on.
No.
It's all the characters off to the side that are saying their little one-liners and these little sexual innuendos that you just absolutely. I pissed myself laughing so much at this.
Well, there were so many times where I wasn't watching, but I was listening, and I was like, "Wait, they just said what?" It was really good.
Yeah, and I guess that's all we're expecting the Simpsons type of humor, where it has kind of fallen off. But I really enjoyed this first. It's part 1 of the season, and part 2 is coming later in the year or early next year. But I think,
why must we binge watch?
I know it's a pain, but we can always watch it again.
Yes,
when we want. But I really enjoyed that. It did find its stride halfway through. After it got past, there was an arc at the beginning where she was being married off. The king was marrying off his daughter, and that kind of went on. But then she started exploring the world, and all these different events happened. It really kind of then, you got to appreciate the full scope of the universe that they're building.
Yes.
Can we talk about the universe that they're building?
Of course.
Just quickly? What did you think visually?
It was hard to get away from that constant I'm watching The Simpsons aspect, but then because Matt has such a defined drawing style that you're just looking at the king sometimes and you're just thinking fat fry, fat fry, fat fry.
Yeah.
But then once you get into that storyline and kind of almost look that little bit deeper, you start enjoying the background and those details and those characters a lot more.
Yeah. And what I enjoyed was that instead of it just being a plain 2D setting, they had a lot of
3D,
rotating angles, a lot of three-dimensional stuff. The universe, the streets, everything, the building just felt alive.
Yes.
A lot of the animation, whilst the characters were animated, it was the backgrounds that were also animated. There was a lot going on, and I really enjoy that it's in the fantasy world. I love Futurama for its future, like its endless possibilities. It's the same with this. It's medieval fantasy. They can literally go anywhere with the stories, which we already have seen. They've brought in occult leaders. They've brought in witchcraft. They've brought in elf blood to give immortality. People turning to stone. There's all these different elements that are coming in, and I really enjoy it. It leaves so much potential. But my biggest issue is probably the pacing. In Simpsons and Futurama and a lot of other animated series, there's background music that kind of comes in and gets the scene. If there's not much exposition or not much action going, it sets the scene up. There wasn't as much music in those pieces of silence that really kept you engaged. You had to try and focus without having any type of stimulation aside from the characters moving across the screen.
See, I enjoyed that more.
So I went straight. That pulled me straight out of it.
Okay. I actually enjoyed that more because I didn't feel like I was being bombarded sensory-wise.
Okay.
But that's just me.
Speaking of sensory-wise, there were so many inconsistencies with the volume in this series.
Oh my god, that's one thing. Don't turn it up really loud because you're going to get a fight scene or something's going to happen and it's going to blow your speakers.
Yeah, and then sure enough, literally, it'll cut to speaking and you'll have to turn up the volume again because it's so quiet. There were so many inconsistencies with that, and that was also probably the really off-putting part. But the voice acting, the cast was amazing. All the guest actors that they have in there, creating a really fun world with really interesting characters. I like the fact that, it's... People are going to say it's going to be, a princess not fulfilling a princess duties and all that kind of SJW nonsense. But
it's literally that's the first 2 episodes, and then it's...
Yeah, they don't play on that at all.
They don't play on that at all, no.
All the characters that you start off thinking, oh, they're dickheads, they start to develop extra layers, and and you start to appreciate what they're about. And yeah, it's really fun. There's the characters are irritating at the start, much like The Simpsons and Futurama, where you don't know anything about them, so you have to just go along for the ride, but they get those layers. Elfo, he starts getting some really good layers in the later part of the season when he goes... Well, he first develops when he leaves his hometown, and then further development comes when he goes back.
Yeah.
And you see Bean constantly develop and grow as a character. She resents the throne, but then starts to understand the purpose of it, and starts to feel more for her father after her mother's died. That's not a spoiler, she was dead at the start. And Lucy even has some growth because he starts to understand that even though he's a demon tormenting people, he's their friend, essentially. But yeah, really good plot. Good overarching plot that still hasn't had a resolution. We've got the cliffhanger.
We're at that cliffhanger now, which was really interesting. I didn't expect that turn.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's got me hooked for part 2, because it was that, oh, I kind of figured this would happen, but not this way.
Yeah. It did leave a lot up for guessing until it actually happened, and it could have gone anyway. Like, they played so many different roles in so many different parts.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. They get to go to all these different worlds and see how the world has been built, like the alliance between the humans and the fish people.
Yes.
And the
Slugs
reason,
or
whatever they are.
Whatever they are.
And I'm really excited. A lot of people are saying Final Space is better. I really enjoyed this more than Final Space. I thought Final Space was ridiculously inconsistent, and the lead character was irritating as hell. This, if you can get past the first couple of episodes and stick with it, I guarantee you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. What are you giving it?
It'll probably become my new Archer and something that I watch just constantly, so I'll give it a 7.5.
Could you imagine if John H. Benjamin was to actually come onto the show?
Yes!
I know. I would love it too. But yeah,
Page!
Woo! Really great cast, really good visuals. The plot picks up in the later half of the season. I think it's going to be... I'm a Futurama guy more than Simpsons.
Same.
Futurama had the same slow start with season 1, and then it got amazing. I think that's going to be another repeat. And it's more adult oriented, so 8 out of 10 for me.
Brilliant.
So yeah, let us know your thoughts below in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and follow our handles that are going around the screen. Oh, the big love heart. And don't forget, we have our weekly podcast, the Fortress Podcast and the Inner Sanctum Comics Podcast, so make sure you check them out. The links are all available on our channel, and I'll put them down in our pinned comment. So I'm Trent.
I'm Julia.
And as always, you're watching The Fortress.